This is Acanthus mollis, bear's breech, and it is a herbaceous perennial. It's not hardy. It's kind of a strange thing. Most herbaceous perennials, if they're going to be deciduous, they would die down in the winter. What's odd about this plant is it really doesn't like heat. It's almost like it's a cold weather perennial. And what you see here is it during the winter actually, and it's not flowering. The foliage is out, and it doesn't like real cold, but it can tolerate temperatures in the high 20s, which is what we were having when I shot this film. And we live in an area where it gets down into the mid 20s, mid to high 20 degree Fahrenheit during the winter, and during the summer it gets in the 90s and the low hundreds, and it's a hot inland valley. So you're going to see a picture at the end where these plants really stress out during the summer, and they start to die back. And not only that, when they start to stress out, for whatever reason, the snails really attack them. It seems to do something to the tissue in the leaf, and I've had these at 2 different residences, and it's really interesting to see what the snails just seem to know when the plant is weak, and they go after them and really destroy the leaves. So this is not a plant I use a lot. It's a very interesting plant, and I really like the look of it, but it's not something that most people want having deteriorating at the end of summer when most of the garden is looking its best. So it's kind of have to be selective about how you choose to use this if you're going to have this. Also lived in San Luis Obispo where it was a milder summer, and the same thing happened there. So you don't need extreme heat to cause this to go into its deterioration in late summer. I think it's something you just have to kind of bank on. The plant is probably likes regular garden water, and I wouldn't call it drought tolerant by any stretch, but also, and then size wise, these are about 3.5 feet tall and probably 5 to 6 feet in diameter, each plant there. The leaves themselves are quite large. They're about 12 to 16 inches wide and 16 to 18 inches long. So very large leaf and leaf surface, but that's what gives it its strong character, is that unique leaf that you see here. They do bloom, and it's interesting, the bloom comes during the summer, but the bloom leads into this stress cycle that I talked about, and I actually tried cutting the blooms off of the ones we had at one point to see if the plant would go into less stress, and it really didn't help it that much. So the blooms come on in midsummer, and at least they did where we live, and they're a really nice, interesting, spiky bloom that you see here. Blooms get probably 5 to 6 feet tall overall, and you can also see how nice the leaves look here. Again, that's it's late spring, early summer before it's really getting hot. So this is when they hit their peak. In terms of exposure, this plant would like morning sun only in hot inland areas. If you're by the coast, this could take sun all day, but it's going to prefer a little shade. These big leaves can really get fried if they get hot, intense sun. And then the way I use it in design is really as kind of a specimen perennial. Again, if it's in a back area where it's not super focused on, you can kind of live with what it does during the summer, but it sure is a nice display when it's looking its best. So I think be selective about how you use this, and it can have a pretty neat place in the garden. It's just you've got to be very selective, but it has such a unique look to it that I think it's one to understand and check out and think about in terms of a design element. By the way, for maintenance, what I would recommend is that you cut these down to the ground when they start to deteriorate there in the summer, when the leaves turn all yellow and so forth, it's not going to get better, so may as well get rid of that. And then as things cool off in the fall, the plant will start to refoliate and look its best. And that is Acanthus mollis, bear's breech.